Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. It is 11:56, 4 minutes to noon on this 27th of January, 2014. Yeah, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe we're only about 3.5 days out from the ending, the 3.5 days out from ending the first month of 2014. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. And if I repeat myself, because I know that might annoy some people, I apologize. I do apologize in advance if I repeat myself. But I want to talk about something I briefly talked about for about 12 and a half minutes on camera yesterday. Now, I said in my video, and this is the flat out truth. This is the flat out truth, ladies and gentlemen. WWE can't ignore. I mean, the title in my video says it best. WWE cannot ignore the yes movement for Daniel Bryan any longer, especially after last night. Now, I just watched the Royal Rumble. I didn't watch the whole pay-per-view just yet. I just watched the Rumble match itself because I downloaded the torrent. It's in 2 parts. The Rumble is its own little part. So I downloaded the entire event, including the kickoff show. But my point is this, folks. My point is this. Excuse me. But my point is this. From what I've read about the WWE Championship match, and from what I watched with the Royal Rumble match, I will say this. The fans basically, and I mean, I know it's been used constantly over the past 24 hours or going on 24 hours. But constantly it's been used that every headline from Bleacher Report to lordsofpain.net to videos on YouTube and so on have all said similarly the same thing. Fans hijacked the pay-per-view. They hijacked the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. A Big Four pay-per-view. A Big Four pay-per-view. A pay-per-view that's supposed to begin the road to WrestleMania. That's right, a pay-per-view that's supposed to begin the road to WrestleMania. A Big Four. Now, it's understandable and maybe laughable and acceptable for a fan base, for the attendance, for the audience attendance there, or the audience basically attending the event. It's probably understandable, acceptable, and maybe even laughable that they hijack a pay-per-view like, let's say, TLC. That they hijack a pay-per-view like probably Elimination Chamber. Or they hijack a Monday Night Raw. But it's something else when you hijack a Big Four pay-per-view, especially when that Big Four pay-per-view is beginning the road to WrestleMania. It is. It's another thing to do that. It's another thing to boo the winner of the Royal Rumble. Now one can understand that if the winner of the Royal Rumble is a heel, they're going to boo him. Or they're supposed to boo him. But when you have someone like Batista, who's supposed to be coming back as a babyface or a tweener or whatever the heck they're going to do with him, you're not supposed to boo him. But yet that's what happened. And then you have someone like Rey Mysterio coming out at number 30, a fan favorite, for goodness sake. Someone that the fans actually do like and could accept winning the Royal Rumble. And you have him being booed when he enters and cheered when he's eliminated. It's almost, I hate to say it, it's almost pathetic on WWE's part that they just don't acknowledge that Daniel Bryan's the most over star. Now, a lot of people talk about, like Aaron Rift on No DQ, talk about the fact that WWE doesn't go by reactions anymore. They go by numbers. They go by buy rates. They go by merchandise sales. And that's true. You see, if you're not a big name star in their eyes, if your merchandise is not selling into the thousands, into the millions, you name it, they're not going to push you. They're not. If your merchandise doesn't sell like, let's say, a John Cena or Randy Orton, or a Sheamus, you're not going to get pushed. You're not going to get opportunities. And that's just a straight out fact about it. You're not going to get pushed. You're not going to get straight out opportunities. But it's not just the numbers either. It's not just the buy rate numbers. It's not just the merchandise numbers or anything. It's not just that either. It's like I said in my other video last night. It's the fact that if you're not willing, if you're somebody in the WWE that as good as you are, and as much as the fans want to get behind you and want you to be the man, they want you to be the champion, they want you to be the face of the company, unless you're the kind of superstar wrestler or diva that agrees to become a multimedia star, in other words, agree to star in movies, commercials, guest star in television shows, write books, have documentaries done on you. Well, CM Punk had one done on him, but you get the idea. But unless you're willing to do the whole 9 yards and become a multimedia star like The Rock, like John Cena, like Randy Orton in a sense, like Triple H in a sense, unless you're willing to do that, you're not going to get pushed. You're not. Instead, what you're going to get is you're going to get regulated to the upper mid-card and maybe lower main event levels. Maybe even mid-main event levels, and that's it. And that's it. That's all you're going to get. And that's the truth, folks. That's the flat-out truth. It's about a lot of things. It's like what Aaron Rift and many other people have said. It's about the money. It's basically that's it. It's about money. It's about the buy rates. It's about how much money can we make off this guy and their merchandise? How much money can we make off this person and their merchandise and the ticket sales they do? And the pay-per-view buy rates they give us. How much can we get here and there? And the other thing, of course, on top of that, or alongside it, I should say, is if you're not somebody willing to become a multimedia star, someone that's willing to star in movies, write books, maybe even do a music album or whatever, guest star in television shows, if you're not willing to do that, you're not going to get pushed. All that combined equals being pushed. And you know why? Because they want you that when you go out in public, they want you to be recognizable by the people walking on the street. They want you to be recognizable to those that occasionally watch wrestling or very rarely watch wrestling. They want you to be a recognizable face. They want to be able to, let's say you have somebody that very rarely watches WWE, but they know who John Cena is. They want you to be like that. They want to be like, oh, there's John Cena. He works for that WWE company. Cool. Or someone like, say, a Randy Orton, like, oh, that's Randy Orton. He works for the WWE company. Cool. Because you see, in the WWE's eyes, when they look at someone like CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, mostly Daniel Bryan, they don't look at a guy that people are going to stand out in a crowd and be like, oh, there's Daniel Bryan. He works for WWE. No, in the WWE's eyes, they're going to see a guy that's just a regular individual, just walking the street. That's all they're going to see. So, to me, this is a problem WWE needs to fix. They do. Now, when I was watching the Rumble match just a little bit ago, one thing I did notice is that even if Daniel Bryan wasn't in the Rumble, those fans would have rather have Roman Reigns. They would have rather have Roman Reigns win it. And that's a fact. They would have had Roman Reigns be the one that got that shot. But it didn't happen. Now, I understand some people come out and they say, well, don't worry about it. Roman Reigns broke the record that was held by Kane for 13 years. You know, don't worry about it. He broke the record. He got a big push last night. Don't worry about it. And, you know, I'm not worried about Roman Reigns because I know him being what WWE wants in looks, if you will, in looks and total package, he's going to get pushed to the damn moon. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that whatsoever. But you see, the thing is, what's funny is Roman Reigns is the kind of guy they look for and the kind of guy they want, yet fans would rather have had him win the Rumble instead of Batista. And yet here's Batista that for weeks had vignettes being aired about talking about his return. Had vignettes aired about his return to the company. Had vignettes aired about him being in the Rumble. And you know, when I was listening to what Michael Cole said at the end of the Rumble match, he was basically, I guess, wording what Batista was saying. Basically, he worded, and I quote, Batista basically telling fans or anybody, hey, I've won the Royal Rumble, I'm going to be world champion, deal with it. And when I hear something like that, folks, that's almost WWE's way of telling the fans, the universe, the WWE universe, hey, you may not like who we push, you may not like how we do things, but you got to deal with it. It's your money, it's your dollars that are making us continuously do this. That's pretty much what WWE said last night. That's pretty much what Michael Cole said, at the end. From basically, that's through Michael Cole. That's what WWE was saying to everybody. It's like, deal with it. Now, I understand people are saying, don't worry, Daniel Bryan's going to be fine. And I'm not denying he's not going to be fine. I'm not denying that. I believe WWE, before this year's out, maybe even way sooner than we think, is going to have to realize, oh, crap, Daniel Bryan's over as shit. We got to push this guy to the moon. Or we got to do what these fans want. We got to put him in the main event. We got to make him champion, and we got to run with it. But you see, going back to what Aaron Riff said in his video that I was starting to watch, his Q&A, he stated that the buy rate between Daniel Bryan and John Cena for SummerSlam, the SummerSlam buy rate was low. So basically, you have a lot of fans. So basically, you have not a lot of fans, but you have a lot of WWE execs, maybe higher ups, going like, oh, well, we going like, well, we know the fans want Daniel Bryan, but last time he was in the main event, we had a low buy rate on a big full pay-per-view. We can't do that. We can't take that chance anymore. Let's put him in here. Let's put him in this feud. Yeah. And that way we could do this. That way we could push these guys. That's basically what it is, folks. It's basically what it is. It's about buy rates. It's about how much money they can make off the buy rates. It's about how much money they make off the merchandise. And on top of that, it's also the fact that if you're not willing to become a multimedia star and go and do movies and music and all these other things, they're not pushing you. They're not pushing you. Even if they know fans want you to be pushed. But like I was saying, again, I apologize for repeating myself, like I said at the beginning of the audio. The thing is, unless you're willing to do all these things, unless your merchandise is selling, unless you can sell pay-per-views, and most importantly, unless you're willing to become a multimedia star, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get pushed. But the real reason, though, and I think I said this. I think I said this in my previous video, in my on-screen video. The reason Batista's getting this push anyway is not because he sells tickets. It's not because he's a big name, if you will. And, it's not just because his merchandise sells at times. It's not just because he could probably sell buy rates. And it's not because people would know who he is if he walked on the sidewalk in New York City, or even walked on the sidewalk in San Francisco, and they could be like, oh, there's Dave Batista. He's WWE superstar. No. It's not just that, folks. It's the same case as with The Rock. You see, Dave's deal is for 2 years. And the only reason he's getting pushed to the moon right now, even though he's a good guy from what people have said, and he would be willing, I believe, he would be willing to possibly down the line step aside for somebody. I said, maybe willing. The only other reason he's being pushed is not just because of everything I mentioned earlier. It's the fact that he has a movie coming out, a big-time movie from Marvel, based on a Marvel comic, being released by Paramount, courtesy of Disney. So you know that with him back and with him having a movie coming out, they're going to push him to the moon. Because WWE, as big of a conglomerate as they are, as big as a worldwide wrestling conglomerate that they are, entertainment conglomerate, whatever you want to call it, they are the kind that even though they make millions and billions and trillions of dollars, and even though they have a network coming out streaming online next month, they are still the kind of company that is willing to latch on to anything that's going to get them more publicity. It's going to get them more of the public eye onto the product. That's, from a legit reality standpoint, is what businesses do. Whether they're a business that should mainly focus on what the fans want, mainly they're a business that's about what brought them to the dance, which is wrestling, a business, WWE is the kind of business that, they acknowledge they have a wrestling past. They are a wrestling company first and foremost. But they also look at themselves as being that entertainment conglomerate, that the more they latch on to certain things, latch their name onto certain things, it's going to get more eyeballs on their product. It's going to get more eyeballs on those shows. It's going to get more attention. I mean, do you not think them re-signing Batista for 2 years has nothing to do with them not just launching the network, but also trying to negotiate a new television deal and stuff with NBC Universal and maybe some other television cable companies out there like Fox, Spike, Fox, Spike, Viacom. Well, Viacom is under Spike anyway, but you get the idea. Do you not think that re-signing Dave Batista is not part of that agenda? Of course it is. Do you not think them pushing him to the moon and focusing on the larger-than-life stars is not part of that? Of course it is. But you see, WWE cannot ignore the Daniel Bryan yes movement any longer, especially after last night. I mean, let's take, for example, what happened a few weeks ago. You have Daniel Bryan join the Wyatt family. You have the original plan for it to stretch out as far as WrestleMania, if not beyond, maybe even as long as Elimination Chamber. But because of the fact that you have a Michigan State crowd at a Michigan State basketball game doing the yes chant, and now recently, as of this past weekend, if not last night, over in Europe, at an awards show, you have a group of people that have won an award doing the yes chant as well, along with that crowd maybe, along with that crowd joining in, do you not think WWE doesn't notice? Because they do. I mean, when that Michigan State crowd did what they did, WWE had no choice to be like, they had no choice but to go like, okay, we got to switch him back. Because basically they realized, oh crap, Daniel Bryan's way over even in the college areas. He's way over to the point that they're doing the yes chant at college basketball games. And you know what This is just a suggestion. It will be the biggest slap in the face of WWE, or the biggest wake-up call for them when it comes to this, is if they sold out, and I know it's going to sell out no matter what people say, that if they sold out Super Bowl this Sunday, every time the Broncos or the Seahawks score a touchdown, for that fan base, if not the entire stadium, to start doing the yes chant. If they start doing the yes chant at that Super Bowl next week, then there is no doubt WWE's got no choice but to acknowledge it, and they've got no choice in everybody's mind, and they know this. WWE knows this, but to give the fans what they want. Because if you have football fans chanting yes at the Super Bowl of all places, then you've got no choice. You've got no freaking choice. If you got a crowd that outsells your WrestleMania that was there a year before, and they're chanting yes, 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 and maybe even chanting Daniel Bryan, you've got no choice. And WWE knows this. But again, just like a lot of people have said, the only reason he's not being pushed is all the factors that I've mentioned and they have mentioned. Buy rates, merchandise, and most importantly, because he's not a multimedia star. That is the reason. So, thank you for listening. Take your time in listening and watching this, and I will talk to y'all later. Comments are welcome.